Greetings from the Fredericktown homestead. Today I would call the beginning of winter. We have snow in the forecast, as much as 3 inches or more. Starting to think about raised beds and put them down there in the big garden. We got room for probably, I'm thinking of making them 10 foot long and 42 inches wide. That way we can reach across them. And if we make our walkways in between a good 36 inches maybe, I'd say we have room for like 60 of them down there. Something like that, about 60 of them. But how many do we make? How many do we need? How many do we want? And what do we make them out of? Here at the Fredericktown homestead, we're blessed with a virtually unlimited supply of wood. This stack here just got stickered and stacked yesterday by Seth and Mike. That's about 800 board feet, 800 to 1,000. And it's offs. They're called offs, O-F-F-S, offs. They're what they get when they're making their cants for the sawing grade. These are the offs, the pieces that have to be taken away before you can saw grade lumber. Grade is the higher quality, like number 1 and number 2. And these are offs. They're less than that. And I can get these by the bundle. This bundle cost me 4 trips, 4 times taking them out. And this bundle here of cherry, 4/4 offs, also cost me 4 trips. This bundle here, along with this bundle of lights on, if I can get a picture of it, let me see. Now, they've got a lot of wood lean on it, but that's 5/8, both these two that I'm showing you here, 5/8, 54 inches long, and the 2 of those cost me 2 trips. So, and we've used a whole lot of those. That's what Mike used to make the rabbit hutch stand and the sawhorses, and we've got 2 sets of sawhorses, I guess, now made out of those 5/8 54s. Oh, and we got this load here that this is spalted maple, and delicious, and it is dry. That was the first load I ever got. Actually, Roger stacked this. It's been here for a year almost. But so we got unlimited supply of wood, is what I'm saying. But we don't have any cedar. Cedar's not something the mill uses. We do have this pin oak and black oak in this pile that we could use. part of my thinking with the raised beds is how long do they have to last? Well, if I was in my 20s, I'd say they had to last a considerable bit longer than what they do now. I was born in 1951, and I don't have too awful many gardens left in me. I'm sort of thinking that any garden we make should last 3 gardening seasons. That's kind of my thought. And but what do we make them out of? Do we make them out of, do I go and buy cedar and make them last a long time? What happens with this farm when we're done with it? We're here to make this, fix up this place, to make it better. And we've done a lot to make it better. We still got some to go, but you know, as we work, we're working ourselves out of a farm, actually. The nicer we make it, the sooner the end comes. But my end is within sight anyway, and it doesn't really concern me too much. But when we're thinking of making raised beds, yesterday at Doug and Stacy's up there in Kidron at Wayman's, Doug was adamant that you got to go with raised beds. Maybe have some in-ground gardens too, but definitely have some raised beds. Now, I've always been a scoffer at raised beds. I have never had raised beds. I've had some famously big gardens. My garden at the mission was over an acre, and I fed 72 men 3 times a day, plus a soup kitchen, which would sometimes serve as many as 100 in an afternoon, or noon. All the street people had to do was come and listen to the gospel, and they could be fed. And they were fed out of my garden, and I raised 2 pigs per month for slaughter. And I had 12 pigs going at all times. No, 24 pigs going at all times. And then I had 3 beef per year that we slaughtered. But the main thing was the gardens, and they were all in-ground gardens, and I raised copious amounts of produce in my gardens. Quite a wide variety. I did real well with eggplants. I did real well with tomatoes, peppers, onions. I did famously with my onions. I also raised cats, as I do today. These 2 cats here are ready for adoption. They're old enough now they can go. Mama Kitty needs to be fixed. But be that as it may, we need to make some raised beds. So 42 inches by 10 feet is my inclination. How many do we make? Well, how many do we need? How many do we want? How many can we make? Well, we've got, like I said, an infinite amount of wood and almost an infinite amount of land. There's more land here than you can walk around in a day. Of course, not of it's all open to raised beds, but we have a huge garden that could take a lot of raised beds. And so how many do we make, and what do we make them out of? And do we make them at all, or do we garden in the ground? Well, the thing about gardening in the ground, the reason I'm even considering raised beds, not only because Doug, the guru of YouTube, says I should, but also because I can't reach the ground anymore. I can't bend over to reach the ground. I'm not that flexible anymore. I can't garden, can't reach down to weed. So I'm thinking raised beds up high enough to belt buckle so that you can just reach over and pull weeds and harvest and plant and water and tend your gardens. That's the reason I'm thinking about raised beds. I'm certainly not going to make them out of 5-quarter cherry. Isn't that a beautiful load of wood? That cost me 4 loads, 4 trips, 4 hauls. I can split these in 2 and make 3/8 boards out of them. Boy, that wind is cold when you step out of the Quonset. Yeah, that's for special projects. But, yeah. We've got wood that needs to be oiled here. And we've got the oil now. This last batch of oil that are right there has the red minwax in it. Too much of it. It's too thick. I'm thinking I gotta dilute that with some more linseed oil, but there's the linseed oil. Yeah. So just thinking, what do we want to do for raised beds? Don't want to use cherry. Don't want to use spalted maple. I could get locust, but they only get maybe 1 locust log in 100, I'm guessing, or 1 in 80 maybe. I don't know. Depends on what woodlot they're working. But I could ask them to set aside the locust, and they would do that for me, but it would probably cost me 10 hauls for 1 bundle, or 8 hauls for 1 bundle of locusts. And that would last far longer than I would. Is that a good option? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm thinking using offs. Black oak and pin oak. We can kind of pick through here and find what we want. Do we plane it? Do we oil it? In order to oil it, it has to be planed. And I am a fan of planing because we get the savings that way. But you can't oil it if it's rough like this. It's got to be planed. And be a lot of planing, but be that as it may. It's down right around the freezing mark today, and we got snow in the forecast. I'm thinking to work here in the shop, and I'm trying to get my mind around what I'm going to do today. I'm not sure. But I'll get back to you when I know better what I'm going to do today. You have a good day. Like and subscribe and do all those things you're supposed to do. And say hi to Bear with his pig's foot. Be a nice day to be smoking, except I wouldn't want to sit out there with a smoker. All right, God bless.